right, when you hear that tune right there, that is our intro theme for the old Bud and the Manchild radio show, which is now moved to YouTube right here at MC Show Digital. My old partner, Bud Poliquin, comes in every week. We call it Brunch with Bud, and we do it every Tuesday morning. And he's back again for another episode. Bud, good morning. How are you, sir?
Gentlemen, I'm fine. Just catching up on a little reading here.
You like paying your bills or something over there?
Yeah.
Looks like you're kind of engaged in something, don't worry. We only have a show to do.
Well, here I am.
Some things never change, as they say, Boy Green.
Yes, sir.
Some things never change. Oh, welcome aboard. Good to be with you here on a Tuesday morning. Today's broadcast brought to you, as usual, by our friends at Cam's Pizzeria, where it is always love at first slice. Locations in both Oswego and Camillus, as they say, or Camillus, as we say it normally. So go see our friends at Cam's today. Boy Green, something?
Just the Cam's thing just got me immediately into mind. So I just have to use that to ask Bud a question, non-sports related, before we get started. Bud Poliquin.
Yes.
Will it be love at first slice when I see a thespian theatric program performance for the very first time later this evening here on Tuesday of Hamilton?
Tonight?
Will it be?
Tonight is the big
It is.
Hamilton
Tonight
show.
is the night. So will that be love at first slice, Bud Poliquin, for me?
Well,
you had to clear his throat before he threw that out there.
Yeah.
You asked the question of a guy who's probably seen 200 performances of probably minimum 50 different shows. Total 200, total 50. Because I've seen other shows a bunch of times.
I think the total is higher than 200, but okay.
It may
Honestly, 200.
Yeah. And the idea that and this is not a knock at all, because I didn't get into this until I was about 26 years old myself. The idea that you've gone through this far of life and not having been to the theater for a live show. Yeah, but you've been to concerts, I know that.
Sure, yeah, of course.
Live theater, and that you're breaking in like the seventh row with Hamilton. That's in a historic, marvelous building, which I don't know that you've been in. It is going to be very exciting, but not just for you and Tatiana, but it's going to be exciting for me, because I greatly enjoy bringing people into this universe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I love sports. Believe me, sports is great. Paid a lot of bills. But I really, really am immersed, dare I say, with, theater, live theater, and, musical theater. I go to other types of shows, the serious stuff or the comedic things, non-musicals. But musical theater is incredible. And Lin-Manuel Miranda, who is the complete, total foundation, backbone. He's the guy for Hamilton. The guy is in context a genius, and you're going to witness that tonight. You're going to have a really, really fine time to break in with Hamilton. The only bad thing is that's like breaking in, with watching Michael Jordan play, because, the next guy up isn't going to be Jordan necessarily. So your next play, your next musical theater experience won't be Hamilton. You might be a little dismayed, but I don't think so. There's a lot of great stuff out there.
And Lerch, how presumptuous of Bud that he just assumes there's a next play after this one, that he's going to bring me here. And obviously, this next one, I'm not sure about this one. Who even said I'm going to a second one? I've dipped my toe in these waters. Let's see how it goes first, Bud Poliquin.
Well, I would be borderline flabbergasted if you saw this. You and or Tatiana didn't say, we got to come back again.
Okay.
If not to this show, then to another. Yeah. I mean, ask Lerch. Last time was in town, and I've seen Hamilton now maybe 7 times. The last time I was in town, Kathleen and I, my wife and I, went back the very next night.
Wow.
So we saw it back-to-back niits. So, you're talking to
we're sitting front row too. You're going to go back a second. We're just in the front row last night. What more of an experience could you have? Literally, I could drop. I could drop like little confetti balls on the band. I mean,
absolutely.
We were sitting right against the pit.
I could tousle the guy's hair, the maestro's hair. It's going to be insane. It's a pretty good seat I've got.
Let me go back tomorrow and I'll sit in the 10th row and about it again. So he wasn't in the front row the next night.
I'll be back there, the unwashed, all the way back in the 10th row.
Boy Green, let me offer this warning to you.
Warning.
This is tonight. Okay, so you hear the passion. Okay, you
Clearly
know the passion that he has.
Yeah.
He's bringing you into his lair. Okay,
Yeah.
So don't even think at any point during the show, other than intermission, perhaps, okay, and you're outside of the theater. You're not even in the theater round. You're in the, you're in the lobby, okay, where they're selling booze, okay, and don't even think about tweeting anyone, texting anyone, checking out a video on YouTube that I post. Like, listen, man, for those couple of hours, I got it, man. All right. So don't even think about it, because he will go nuts.
Yeah,
He'll probably never invite you back. I just don't want you to get in any trouble. I want you to get in any hot water with this guy. He takes the theater, his thespianism, as I say it, very, very seriously.
And remember, don't buy candy and do the little crinkle stuff.
It can't crinkle while there's dialogues going on. You're like trying to gnaw on your popcorn or something. Like,
no.
What are you doing? What are you doing over there?
Okay, so nachos are discouraged. Okay,
nachos would be discouraged.
That's sacrilegious. We do not talk sacrilegious. Okay, no sacrilegious talk.
I think I did get a Hershey bar that night, and I did get the look as I was like trying to get it out of the paper, like in the.
Oh, so it's a Jerry Seinfeld bit with what, the Pez dispenser?
Yeah, the Pez dispenser.
Yeah.
Don't bring a Pez dispenser.
It started a whole hilarity there.
Yeah,
okay. Crazy. Who's just laughing? Who's laughing during my concert? All right, that was a very good episode.
The maestro.
Right, let's get sports.
Of course.
Fascinating. Yeah. You can give a full report on next week's Brunch with Bud on your Hamilton experience. Okay, so everybody be looking forward to that. All right, let's start with the local, Bud. Syracuse football gets itself a win, this time in a lot more convincing fashion after that scare against Connecticut, this time against their old foes, Colgate. We had a great time, actually, last week, but a few days before the game, interviewing the Colgate head coach, who's a very, very nice young guy. He had previously been at Cortland, where he won a national championship. So we learned all this cool stuff about him, which was really, really awesome. But Syracuse did do what they expect to do against a team like this, and that's, thump them pretty good. So at least Syracuse will come into this week's game against Clemson, albeit down there in Death Valley, with perhaps a little bit more confidence than it would have coming out of that Connecticut game directly.
Yeah, I mean, it was a scrimmage game is what it was. And let's not call it any more than that. The idea that they won doesn't matter. It's how they performed.
Mm-hmm.
Did they satisfy the coaches when the coaches studied the film? Mm-hmm. I don't know that. So I don't know. The idea of winning and losing that game was never the point. The thing is, did you execute? Did you play correctly? Did you please your coaches? The great good news for Syracuse, I think, it might be the great bad news, is that they are going to play Clemson. And anybody who's watched Clemson these 3 games that they've played, and I've seen all those games, it's a very unremarkable team right now.
Mm-hmm.
And Syracuse should have every reason going to Clemson saying, why not? This is not a difficult. I mean, it's a difficult chore. Don't misunderstand. But it's a doable chore. This isn't like going to play, the Packers in Green Bay. They're playing a struggling Clemson team that just can't get going offensively. And yeah, absolutely, Clemson could say with some degree of certainty or some degree of believability, we could be 3-0. Give us a play here or there. They're 3-0, and you're not talking like this, and they would be right. But they're 1-2, and they didn't get those plays that they needed. So if I'm SU, I'm going there. I'm thinking we're going to win. Why not? Why can't we win?
I don't know, but if you have an answer for this, and I guess you sort of tried to suggest what I guess it could have been. When you play a game against an opponent like Colgate, where, again, winning or losing is not on any discussion of any Syracuse pregame show, what are you looking for in a game like that? Just health?
I think, you're looking to come out of it healthy, number one. That's the biggest victory you can. That's the only victory that you're looking for in terms of on the field, scoreboarding. Everybody entered the game healthy. Did they come off healthy? That's victory number one. But it's really it really is a real nice glorified scrimmage game. And what you're looking for is what coaches look for. Did we get off the ball? Did the left tackle, right guard do what they needed to do on that particular play? I think that they have a great opportunity to say, these are the plays that we ran, but did you see on the film here, Joey, that you didn't do what you needed to do? Hey, Eddie, did you see you were a yard off on that play? If you cut tighter, then you get the block, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to talk coacheese and I can't.
Yeah.
But what there is to gain is simply, how did we execute? We're healthy. We got the win. Big deal on the win. We knew we have that. Healthy. Thank God we're healthy. And now what do we learn? And what of those lessons are we taking to Clemson? It's simple as that. It was a scrimmage game. And I don't. Anybody who says otherwise, whether it's the coaches or the players, come on, we're not fools. That was a scrimmage game, beautifully scheduled before going to Clemson. Now let's see what you can take from that to help you beat Clemson.
All right, don't forget, everybody, like our video, hit the thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe at MC Show Digital. We are literally closing in only about a dozen subscribers away from giving away that David Tyree autographed The Catch photo, fully framed. So be one of the last to get in on it, because once we get to 300, that baby's going to one of the first 300 people. So we're just about there. So everybody get in on that while you can, because there's only about a dozen slots left, essentially. We'll have other giveaways beyond that, but this is a nice one. I know a lot of people want to get their hands on this photo and go from my wall to your wall. But let's stay in college football. A couple of other stories I want to get to you on. I'll let you pick which one you want to deal with first. First of all, Arch Manning and Boo Birds. Oh, my goodness. They were booing Arch Manning a bit over the weekend when he had a stretch where I think he threw like 10 straight incomplete passes. So we've gone from number one draft pick in the NFL, baby, to booed by, the folks in Texas. And then the other question here is the Brian Kelly incident, which Boy Green can cue up and play whenever you're ready for it. A little reporter incident, and Brian Kelly, who's a little touchy these days down at LSU, their head coach, used to coach Notre Dame, of course, so we know him very, very well from our days of dealing with Brian Kelly. But a little short on temper, you might say. So pick your spot here. Which one you want to talk about first?
Well, we'll start with what you started with, Arch Manning. First and foremost, let's understand this. This is a multimillionaire who's being paid millions of dollars to play football. He has chosen or has been anointed by the universe to be a professional football player at the age of 20 or however old he is. So he's entered the arena happily, willingly, and voluntarily to go out there and play this silly game of football and get paid millions of dollars to do so. That means he's fair game. People are going to say what they want, boo when they want, and they have kind of a right because this guy's a professional. And if he's not operating to the standards of the consumer, the customer, the fan, then he's going to hear it. And too bad, Arch, that's the world you're in. Having said that, the people who are doing the booing and the people who are going after him had better only be going after him because he's a pro. Because other than that, this guy has little to no serious experience. And just because he's not performing the way you thought he should be performing, whose fault is that? Is that his fault for not doing what you think he's capable of doing? Or is it your fault for establishing a bar that he's not ready to hurdle? So, again, I don't feel sorry for the kid. I wish my kid was making millions of dollars on this fall and getting booed. That'd be a beautiful thing to have to suffer. But I think that it doesn't really make sense. Doesn't make sense for people to say, I'm mad at you because I had you wrong. I thought you were better than this. I thought you'd be better sooner than this. I had it wrong, but you're the one who's failing, not me in my perceptions or my observations or my predictions.
Judgment, right.
My judgment. My judgment's wrong. I'm out of line, but I'm blaming you because my judgment's crazy. Now, why would anybody think that this kid was going to be a whole lot different than what he's been? He shows flashes of good, flashes of bad. That's called being a kid thrown into the heat of battle.
What about that last name, Bud? You said, why don't we think he's better? Manning's on the back, not Jones, not Smith, not Johnny Boy. It is Manning.
He had no choice in that matter.
Well,
he popped out of somebody's womb and they put a last name on him, a Manning. He could have put on Lerch on his name and we wouldn't be talking like this.
He could have been a thespian. He chose football. He chose the family tradition.
So, I mean, I don't feel sorry, but in no way am I siding with those who are frankly embarrassing themselves because, again, he's not living up to their bad judgment of what he should be today in the middle of September as what is he, a redshirt sophomore or whatever he is. He's a young kid, which is first time in the spotlight. Leave him alone already, except that, hey, he's a pro, so boom all you want. You want to cash the checks at that level, you're going to have to take the good with the bad. just as a fan should be able to take the good with the bad with an inexperienced kid.
All right, I'll let you get to Brian Kelly. Let's just take a quick break, hear a little bit more about our friends from Cams, and we'll come back. We'll play the clip, and we'll talk about what happened with Brian Kelly, the head coach of LSU. Stick around. Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. It's Brunch with Bud here on a Tuesday.
When you think of Cam's Pizzeria, think about two of your favorites, their zesty buffalo chicken wing pizza or their tasty chicken bacon ranch. Over 16 specialty pizzas made fresh daily with the best ingredients. Indulge in their homemade calzones, subs, wraps, salads, and their famous cannolis for dessert. They're all made with love just for you. Order online for 10% off at camspizza.com. Locations in Camillus and Oswego. Cam's Pizzeria. It's love at first slice.
All right, we are back. Brunch with Bud at MC Show Digital. Again, hit the thumbs up, like our video if you like what you're hearing, and also don't forget to subscribe at MC Show Digital. Be one of the first 300, and you can get in on a David Tyree autographed The Catch photo, framed and autographed, and it's going out the door very soon. We need about 12 more subscribers, and one of our first 300 is getting that wonderful, wonderful photo. I got another big prize announcement coming up later this week, Boy Green. We're giving away an item that's worth, I'd say, roughly about $400 to $450. Okay, going out the door just again for just being part of our family. So good things happening here at the Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. All right, let's talk about Brian Kelly. You want him to play the clip first, Bud, and then we'll talk about it?
Sure. I've seen it, but some people haven't.
Okay.
Yeah, so let me just provide the context of this. Again, LSU beats Florida. LSU, third ranked in the country. They beat Florida 20-10. And then this is the post-game presser that's taking place, obviously, after
this
the
is
game.
coming off a win.
This is the first question that was asked.
Correct.
In the press conference.
First question. Here we go.
Let's take a listen.
Brian in the back, I know you love these immediate post-game sessions, but what are you seeing with your offense?
Stop. Really? Is that the first question? We won the game 20-10. Try another question. What do you want me to tell you? I just laid it out for you. We played the game to win the game. We played the game to win the game.
All right. How about third down then? What is going on with third down?
It's one game. Last game, we were great on third down. You're looking at this from the wrong perspective. LSU won the football game. Won the game. I don't know what you want from me. What do you want? You want us to win 70-0 against Florida to keep you happy?
No, I think people want to know why you can't run the ball, quite honestly.
We can run the ball. Did you see the last play of the game? That's all you need. You just need one. There's ridiculous questions. And I'm getting tired of it. That football team just worked their tail off to get an SEC win, and you want to know what's wrong. You know what? You're spoiled. You're spoiled. This team is 17-1 at night. 17-1. Give them some respect. How about that? Give them some respect instead of micro-analyzing every little thing. This is ridiculous. For a group of seasoned reporters, that kind of question is so out of line.
Could have just said I kind of like the way my offense is operating and moved along, but apparently he wanted to make a point there. Very interesting. The reporter started getting a little aggressive with him too as it went on. So interesting back and forth there.
And Bud, before you answer, again, it's only fair that we give the latest information possible here that since that interaction happened over the weekend, Brian Kelly has since apologized to the reporter. We'll bring this up from ESPN. LSU coach Brian Kelly apologized for snapping at the reporter following the Saturday's 20-10 victory against Florida. Quote, I texted with the reporter and offered my apology to him for the way I handled the questioning. I think it's important to understand that, my standards relative to how we work with the media on a day-to-day basis needs to be higher, and I take responsibility for that, and I'll be better in the future, end quote, from Brian Kelly.
It's not like he cursed them out, but go ahead. Give us your thoughts on it.
Well, I don't know what he's apologizing for, except the manner in which he delivered the message.
The tone.
I think he could have said the exact same words. I mean, literally, this would be a great thing for, acting 101 in a college course. I would say, okay, Lerch, I want you to speak these words as the angry coach. And Boy Green, I want you to speak these words as the happy but perplexed coach over the question. The same words. So I don't think his words need any apology. I do think that he'd be better advised having a little bit of a touch. Like, as an example, and first of all, and again, I'm not a big Brian Kelly guy, so I'm not sticking up for Kelly. And what I'm going to say now is likely a little bit unfair. But you take Krzyzewski and Jim Boeheim. Krzyzewski almost always had a way of saying what he wanted to say, but in a way that was congenial. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Boeheim would have a way of being, a little less so.
Terse.
But the same message is delivered by the Boeheims and the Krzyzewskis, except the style is different. Again, I think it's a bad question too. But okay, so what? The guy is entitled to ask a bad question, or maybe if it's not a bad question, it could have been a better question. You have to deal with this. You can't be so defensive, especially when you're Brian Kelly, who's making what, $8 million a year. He's got a top 3 team. They're 3-0. What do you got to be angry about? What are you doing? So the style of the answer would be my beef. The substance of the answer, I have no problem with that.
Yeah. And I actually agree with the whole thought of you're spoiled, people in these bastions, these Southern bastions that have been winning forever, that contend for national championships every year. Yeah. These fan bases, and dare I say the media that cover them to a certain extent, get spoiled, where it's just, it's
what I thought of when I saw it, really, the guy I thought of, and long, old enough people remember, Dick McPherson, the coach of SU. He would have games where the team just played sloppily, too many penalties, too many turnovers, too many mistakes, too many botches, but they'd won the game. And somebody would ask him a question like, well, in essence, aren't you upset with the way your team played? He says, we won. I don't care how we win. As long as we win, I'm the happiest guy in the room. If we've lost because of all those mistakes, then we'd have something to talk about. But again, I'm putting words in his mouth. But the message was, you can't get me to say anything bad. We won this game. So I'm having fun with this. So talk all you want. But Look at me. I'm smiling. I'm laughing. I had a great time out there. We won. Next question. And I thought of Brian. When I heard Brian Kelly, I thought of Dick McPherson. I said, now, McPherson would have answered that question, maybe using those words, but in a completely different tenor. That's my beef with Brian Kelly.
But I'm going to be honest, Bud. You're a media guy. You're the one asking those questions. So when I heard this exchange and you said you want to talk about it, I'm like, oh, great. Bud's going to be like, hey, what's up with this coach over here? Hey, take a chill pill, pal. There's a media coach conversation here. So I'm going to be honest. I am flabbergasted that you're taking old Brian Coach Kelly's side here over your media brethren.
No, well, first of all, I have an allegiance to as truthful as I can be answering a question. My allegiance isn't to the coach or to the media. I thought the question was probably, and again, he has a right to ask any question he wants. I'm not saying, drag him out of the room. It wasn't an insulting question. It wasn't an embarrassing question.
But you said it was bad. Why do you think it was bad? You said
because I think that the premise of the moment is LSU is 3-0, number 3 in the country. And they beat a traditional rival, holding that traditional rival to 10 measly points. And so when I don't think that's appropriate, why I think that's an inappropriate question is that let's look at where we're at in the moment. And in the moment, what's your beef as a reporter? This is not a beauty pageant. This is a football game. They have their scholarship players. We have our scholarship players. We went out and played, and we won. See, this is what I would have said with Kelly. I say, this is you can look at it your way. I'm going to look at it mine. You see a beauty pageant element to the game of football, and I see a scoreboard element to the game of football. And as long as we play with dignity and sportsmanship and respect, we won, baby. I don't care if we don't look good in a bathing suit. I'm happy that we won this football game.
Yeah. And maybe the question is, so Coach, congrats on the win. Any concerns about the way you won tonight? A little bit ugly. Is there are any concerns on it? Then let him go there. Let him go there. I think that's legit to ask a question like that.
So, Bud, is your question
what the offense, man? What's up? What do you mean? What's up? We scored 20 points. They scored 10. We won.
So, Bud, is your question with the batting lineup? Because that one came first as opposed to 8th in the rotation is where you're like,
no.
It's
just a rough way to begin a press conference. That's all. I don't care. And again, let me be clear. I'm only saying that in context with the moment, I don't rip Brian Kelly for what he said. It's how he said what he said.
For the tone, right? I got you.
Because I think everything he said, I agree with 100%.
Yeah. The guy I've always pointed to over the years, Bud, and I don't know, maybe he's had a pop off or two, but I've never seen it. If he has, Tom Izzo. I think Izzo handles these situations marvelously. I've been in press conference with him where he's been asked dumb questions, and he deflects and really does a good job of, saying, well, maybe what you meant to say is, maybe let me rephrase that, or let me give you an answer. I don't agree with that, but let me, he just reshapes it, goes a different direction, lets it roll right off, rather than get annoyed by the question. Why does a question ever annoy a coach? I never understand that, because you have the ability. You're the one with the microphone. They don't have one, right? They're over there in the crowd. Okay. And you've got the microphone. So control the situation. You have total control of the situation. You can just elect not to answer the question. To be honest with you, I don't really think that's an appropriate question here. We just won a game 20-10. Next question, please. That's all. You can just move right on. You don't even have to go into this whole emotional world of how dare you ask me that? How disrespectful is that of our team?
The other thing that I've always wondered about is why a coach, and in this case, Jim Boeheim, would ever allow little insects from the media bother him.
You're calling us
I mean, the fly does not bother the elephant as the elephant swings his tail at the fly, right? He's just getting rid of that.
Yeah.
And I swear, if I come back as a big time coach making a lot of money, the last thing I'm going to do is let these guys bother me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to anoint them. I'm not going to allow that.
Yeah.
It just always bothers me. Not bothers me. It staggers me. And then people would say to me sometimes, and maybe Boeheim and I would have a thing, and then somebody would say, "Why do you let him talk like?" I say, "He's got his right. I ask my questions. He gives his answers. I'm not gonna. I don't care. That's him."
Yeah.
So if I'm the coach and I would turn that around, if somebody asked a question and I thought it was a dopey question, maybe I might say, that question's not, really up to your standards, but here's the answer. But to be upset, what? Why would Jim Boeheim ever be upset about anything I would ask or anybody else would ask him? I don't understand it.
All right, so I the natural follow-up is this: did Jim Boeheim ever issue an apology after one of those tete-a-tetes between you and him?
Look, I don't know this for sure, but I don't know that he ever apologized. Maybe to his bride. I'm not. This isn't personal. Professionally, I don't know that he's ever apologized to anybody. And that's just the way of, that's some people are, he's a very stubborn guy, and he's always been. Doesn't mean we don't get along now. If he's hearing this, maybe
that's the thing. Okay, maybe he's never apologized to any of us that he's ever had a rub with, but the next day or the next time you saw him, he just treated you like the last time he saw, so there was no.
Oh yeah, he holds no grudge.
Doesn't hold a grudge, which so you don't need to apologize.
That's important.
You don't hold a grudge.
Yeah.
If you're gonna suddenly now not answer my questions or choose other reporters in a press conference and try to purposefully ignore me, now we got an issue. Now
he never did that.
Now you causing. He never did that.
He always picked up
next
the
press
phone.
conference, point right over to Bud. All right, Bud. What do you want?
He would pick up the phone and write
now. All right, let's talk some baseball. Baseball playoffs were really getting heated up here. A couple of spots. My Mets, oh boy. Now it's a matter of are they even going to make the playoffs, Bud, because there are so many teams now within striking distance. So you tee it up, pick a race, pick a team, pick something that's tickled your fancy in the world of the baseball with about a dozen or so games left for most teams and some of the races being tight.
Well, first of all, you had a very wise fellow on this show a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, who said something like, I would never let, the big bopper on the other team beat me. I would never pitch to him.
Yes, I remember that.
So somebody chose to pitch to Pete Alonso the other day, Sunday, and Alonso took the ball over the right field fence, the first swing of the bat. And so I'm sitting there saying, well, why are you pitching to Pete Alonso in that circumstance? Now, they were playing the Rangers, so the game meant an awful lot to the Rangers. And the Rangers still decided, well, maybe he beats us and maybe he won't. But I'd never come to that. I'd never cross that bridge. If I see the Pete Alonso bridge, I don't cross it. If I'm the Rangers or anybody else, the game meant something to the Rangers. and they decided, let's pitch them, see what happens. And that's what happened. They lost a big game. Now with the Rangers, it's not to say that the guy behind Alonso wouldn't have won the game anyway, but we don't know that. We just know that we never had a chance to find out. If the Rangers somehow lose their playoff position by a single game this year, and I don't think they will, I think the Mariners are going to win the division. I think the Rangers are going to finish second, and I think my Astros are out. But somehow if the Rangers lose by a game, I'm not saying that's the game that did it, but that's a game that helped contribute to their position of being outside the playoffs if that's where they land by only a game. The question is, what do I think of the playoffs? It's what I think is really unfortunate for baseball. They did this wild card bit where now you have 6 wild cards, with the idea being that more teams are more involved down the stretch.
Yeah.
Nice theory, but in the National League, there's been the 6 teams. Like for a long time now, there's been no 7th team. The Reds are nibbling around the edges, but they're always doing that as a 500-ish team. In the American League, you have 7 teams looking for the 6. So I think they were looking at 15 teams on each side. They're looking for 10 and 11 teams to be playing meaningful games at this time of the year. And right now, there's only the Rangers, the Astros, and the Mariners are playing for meaningful games in the American League to get into the playoffs. And that's it. You have 30 teams, and either the teams are in or they're out.
Yeah.
And I think I don't think baseball had that in mind when they went to this expanded playoff pool.
Definitely not.
Hey, Bud, let me ask you, how many teams do you think are capable of winning the World Series?
There's 12 teams that go in. Yeah. 12 teams are capable.
Ooh, come on, Bud. Don't give me that. You know the real question that I'm asking, Poliquin.
If you're asking me who the best teams are.
That's not what I asked. I said who of that group. Yeah. Okay, so you're going to tell me when NFL playoffs, 7 teams make it on one side, 7 teams make it on the other. I'm like, how many teams are going to win the Super Bowl? You're like, 14. Come on.
It does not apply to football. It does not apply to basketball. Absolutely.
Why does it apply for baseball?
Because baseball is a crazy game. Baseball is a bloop single. Baseball is a broken back single.
Tonight's pitcher.
The umpire missed a call. There's a million things that can go on in baseball that has nothing to do with were we better or not. Who's going to perform better? Who's going to catch the breaks? Whose pitcher is hot? Some people say, well, that's a flaw. I don't know. I think that's why you watch the game, because you truly don't know. In football, you pretty much know who's going to win the game. In basketball, you pretty much know who's going to win the game. In baseball, the Colorado Rockies, the worst team in baseball, can beat the LA Dodgers on any given night, and nobody is saying, did you see what happened last night? The Dodgers lost to the Rockies. Now you take football, and who's the worst team in football? Maybe the New York Jets. Maybe the New York Jets. All right, so the New York Jets, if the New York Jets beat the Philadelphia Eagles,
Panthers,
they all say, how'd that happen? The Eagles lost to the Jets, blah, 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 blah. The worst team in football and basketball, the New Orleans Pelicans. They beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. Holy smoke, what happened to Oklahoma City? Geez, bop, bop, bop. But in baseball, the Rockies could beat anybody and no one even looks up. So who's going to win of the 12? Any of the 12 can win.
You know what, Bud? If Brian Kelly dodged questions like you just did in this little today, then he would be well better off. He wouldn't be having to give apologies via ESPN to reporters.
How did I dodge the question? If you're asking me who the teams to beat are, sure, I can name the best teams in the field. That doesn't mean
it's not
anything.
Just best teams. It could be your favorite word, momentum. It could be who's hot right now. That could be a factor.
But there is no momentum in baseball. There's no who's hot in baseball. That's the glory of it. The other day, Alvarez of the Astros, he came off a stretch that he was like something like 11 for 15 hitting. And then the next game, he was 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts. What happened to him?
He lost the momentum. That's what it sounds like.
How about the other day when the Dodgers went into the 9th inning against somebody? They had 26 outs. The Dodgers had. They had a no-hitter going, nobody on base. They're up 3-0. They might have been up 4-0, but I think they're up 3-0. The other team hadn't gotten hit. It was Baltimore, playing Baltimore. Baltimore doesn't have a hit. There's nobody on base. There's 2 outs in the ninth. They're losing 3-0. That game's over, right? No, it wasn't. They ended up getting 4 runs in the bottom of the ninth, and they won. They went from being no hit to winning the game with 1 out. I'm sorry, with 2 outs already on the board. That doesn't happen in basketball. That doesn't happen in football. It doesn't. So when you say who's going to win the World Series or go to the World Series, okay, likely the Dodgers in the National League, and likely the Yankees, maybe, probably in the American League. That doesn't mean they're going to show up. They both can go out in the first round.
Did you check your mail before you did this interview? Did you get that check from baseball for saying all this stuff here on the show?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'll check it out. I haven't got my mail yet. It's early this morning now. Give me time to wake up.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Fair enough.
I'll give you one nugget in the world of football, but I know there was a lot that happened over the weekend, but you pick something. Pick a nugget from football. Give us a Bud take on it.
This is a Bud take that you've heard. I won't rant forever on this one. But, again, they fired the football coach at Virginia Tech because they're 0-3. They fired the football coach at UCLA because he's 0-3. Again, what are we saying not about the coach, but what are we saying about the AD, the athletic director of those schools? What are we saying about the president at those schools? That you, a month ago, you were excited about this season. You're excited about your coach. Holy smoke, I feel my bones. We got a shot at, winning games and going to the tournament. And holy moly, let's go. Rah, rah, sis, boom, bah. And 3 weeks, 3 games anyway into the season, you've decided these guys stink. We got to get rid of them. And in both cases, I think one's getting a $5 million get out of here package. Nice. And the other guy, I think, is getting a $6 million get out of here package.
Yeah, right.
So your chart, I mean, it's preposterous that you can go from this is our man to get rid of him and then to pay, in this case, a combined $11 million. Now, I don't know what kitty it comes out of. I don't know if it comes out of any of the academic parts of this school. All I know, it's an academic endeavor, a university, and these presidents are paying $11 million to get rid of employees that I assume, and I could be wrong, that money could have gone somewhere else instead of fired football coaches, like maybe get some new beakers for the science lab or some such. And I don't know what I'm talking about. That maybe it's different pockets, different monies from different pockets, but how can you turn your back on these coaches so quickly and then so cavalierly just throw money out the door as they throw money in them as they walk out the door? Now, understand, I'm not feeling sorry for the coaches. I would have loved at any time in my career to have gotten fired and have somebody pitch $5 million at me as I walk out the door. I'd have begged for that. That would have been winning the lottery. So I'm not.
Listen, I'll leave this podcast right now for $2 million.
Yeah.
No,
I'm not. I don't feel sorry for the coaches. We should all be treated so miserably. I do wonder about the stupidity of ADs and presidents who decide so quickly that they made a mistake. And oh, by the way, they're not suffering anything. The AD should go out the door with the coach. That's what I say. And maybe the president too.
All right.
That's what I think.
As they say, always a pleasure, always a charm.
Well, you asked. Don't ask.
And today's broadcast brought to you by our friends at Cam's Pizzeria, where it's always love at first slice. Don't forget, like and subscribe. Boy Green, final thought if you have one before we get out of here.
Again, I'm hoping it's love at first slice tonight for Hamilton, which is going to be great. Again, I've never dipped my toe in the thespian waters in my entire 32 years of life on this planet. So I'm doing it with me and my beautiful fiance. Yeah, my cherry's about to be popped. Yeah, let's put it that way.
Wait a minute. Oh, 7:00.
Yeah.
Do not be late.
Yeah, don't be late.
Curtains at 7:30. I'll meet you outside the door at 7.
Hey,
don't mess with me. Don't be late.
Here's the thing. I will be honest. I was very insulted. Bud on the phone, early this morning. He, of course, he's got to make sure that I'm ready for tonight. He's like, yeah, you and that Lerch guy, a little squirrely on time. And I just want to make this perfectly clear. As Lerch, by the way, catching a stray bullet
ever.
I'm a military boy born and raised. And this is the thing that is crocheted on a pillow in my living room. To be early is to be on time. To be on time is to be late, and to be late is unacceptable. And you had the audacity to say to me that me and this Lerch guy are like a little squirrely on time? Wow.
All I know is, hey, I'll meet you at the pontoon boat at 1 o'clock, and he wanders in there 20 after 1:30. Like, hey, what's the problem? What's the big deal? I've been sitting here at the dock for a half hour waiting for you. That's the big deal. Okay? I'm not sitting at the dock for you tonight. You got that, pal?
That's loud and clear.
Is that you or me, Boy Green? Who
that was definitely you, not me. I helped old Bud here when we were bringing kids from different countries.
I think I had like one time where I just literally forgot I was supposed to meet him, and then realized it like
forgot. Third grade.
Called him on the way.
Here's your homework. I forgot.
Really sorry, right? It just literally like we just had one of those moments, right? This is coming from the guy who showed up literally every single day to our radio show late for 16 plus years. And he's lecturing me with the one slip up I've had. Okay. The one slip up. Okay. It's so out of kilter. It's so ridiculous. I'm not even addressing it anymore. It's just insane. Yeah, all right, folks. There it is. We put a nice what? Go ahead.
You do something right, no one remembers. You do something wrong, no one forgets.
Never forget. Okay. I know. It's true.
Put that on your pillow.
Yeah.
There you go.
I think I got that on your
crochet that on your little pillow there, Boy Green. All right. Episode of Brunch Bud in the books. Folks, thanks for listening. We do appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon. Don't forget our live show tomorrow at 11.